r/NoSleep. Posted by u/Sean_M_Gleason. I applied for a job as a security guard. I didn't realize WFH means work from hell. Part 2. It seems from my last post that some of you are looking to know why I'm still working for this company. I'll pick up from my first post, with the very next day. When I got back to my apartment I had a bit of a mental collapse. I decided no matter what my paycheck said I wasn't going near that hellhole again. That's what I thought at the time anyway. I woke up the next morning, groggy and sore from the infection in my side. In the med bay I received the rot reversal shot and the grayish flesh had begun to resemble some form of normality. The pain still radiated from the epicenter of the infection, a small cut I received from the spike from the giant abomination that breached the perimeter. I decided I wasn't going near that place again. I checked my account and noticed a deposit of $1,000 from Div Incorporated. I had been unconscious for quite some time and that led to an additional day's pay. I also noticed a deposit of $300 with a reference new pants. DT. One of the silent watchers must have had a good laugh at my dispense. I took care of some utility bills, filled the fridge and grabbed a few beers. I plan to head back to Club Rouge tomorrow evening and just forget this ordeal ever happened. Life returned to normal after that. I went back to my old job and Terry was none the wiser. We had our usual night on the doors and I headed home. All was pretty good until 5 days later. The pain in my side had cleared up previously but that night I was doubled over in pain. "You're not looking too good there, Tommy." Terry had a worried look behind his dark sunglasses. "Think I might have a kidney stone." I lied, the pain was intensifying. "Might be best for you to head to the hospital." Terry helped me to my car and waved me off. I made my way to the hospital but doubled back once Terry was out of sight. I raced back to my apartment crashing on the bed without undressing, writhing in agony for what seemed like an eternity. As dawn broke I made a call. The phone was answered on the first ring. Divinity Incorporated, Annie speaking. "How can I help you, Mr. Morrison?" "Hi Annie, it's Tom." I realized she knew I was calling. I shouldn't have been surprised. "I think I'm dying." I wheezed. "Well, that's to be expected, Mr. Morrison. You didn't show up for work this week. I presume you need someone to administer the antidote?" "Yes, hurry." I could barely stand by this point. My skin felt like a blowtorch was being used on me. For the second time that week, I passed out. I awoke to the sight of Gerald crouched over me, piercing my vein with a syringe full of mercury-like material. "We usually require payment up front," he said, dabbing my arm with cotton wool. "Seeing as it's your first time, I'll send you the invoice." "Thanks." I lifted my shirt to see the extent of the damage. The skin was a deathly gray and now covered most of the left side of my body. It had cracked and a yellowish mucus was oozing from the gash. "You'll need one of these every 6 days for the next 66 weeks, he said, pocketing the used syringe. "That seems fitting all right," I sighed. The last week is debatable, but with the symbolic nature we felt it was appropriate. A hint of a smile evident in his features. "How much will it set me back?" I asked, fearing his response. "It's $4,000 for non-employees." I ran my fingers through my hair. "Jesus, if you could give me a couple of weeks I could round up enough to cover it." "Perdos," he said coldly. I sat down hard, my knees giving way to the gravity of the situation. The silence echoed throughout the apartment as I processed the decision that was indeed inevitable. "I'll see you in the morning," I said defeatedly. For future reference, Gerald stood to leave. Call-out fees are $500, employee or not. "This one's on the house, seeing as I would have been here tomorrow if you hadn't called." He tapped the row of canisters on his belt, each one capable of burning a hole through the brick wall beside him. The next morning I entered the double doors of Divinity Incorporated. I passed by the large oak desk, Annie seated behind. "Morning, Tommy." Her smile accentuating her beautiful features. "Morning," I said curtly, her beauty spoiled by the reality of her role in this operation. I entered through the gateway, armed with an assault rifle slung across my shoulder. I had a pistol strapped to my waist in its holster. Evan and the gang welcomed me back and we settled into our shift. Not much had happened since I left. They were looking to hire a new recruit since they presumed I was a pile of ash by now. The next few days passed with little to no excitement. I patrolled the perimeter, ensuring each fuse box was functioning properly. This facility was self-sufficient. With the energy they were able to extract from the land, half was sent back topside and the other half ran the complex. The electric fence alone was using 20,000 watts a day. Roscoe warned me on several occasions not to get too close to the fence. "I'm not a fool," I laughed. "I seen that giant fucker get fried." I'm not going anywhere near it. I'm not saying you are, but mistakes happen. Roscoe was looking across the complex at a particular section of the fence. I was on patrol last year with a rookie, I think his name was Callum. We were checking the boxes when one of them short-circuited. Callum got startled and tripped into the fence. Bang! He clapped his hands forcefully to emphasize his point. His head landed halfway across the complex, still burning. Jesus, I said nervously, looking at the death trap to my right. Even our protection wants to kill us. Couldn't eat meat for weeks, I could still smell what was left of him. Mark spent the next few days drilling us on the next expedition to create a new drill site. This one was located in a region called the suburbs, and it supposedly had access to a small deposit of metal ore which previously was only found in the town. I was informed the town was an area to the north where we had no direct gateways. It was described as something you'd see in an apocalypse movie where the towns were run down, abandoned and overtaken by Mother Nature. The town was a hotspot for demonic activity. The locals of this region seemed to reside there permanently. The place was teeming with precious metals the company were desperate to have their hands on. Any attempts to send a strike force to clear out the town were utterly destroyed in no time at all. Once the perimeter of the town was breached, groups of remnants were summoned. Remnants have some mystical properties which gives them some control over the elements here in HELL. One team managed to take out the 3 remnants that were called to aid the town. While they were rejoicing in victory, a 10-foot portal split the air. A general was summoned and the strike team was demolished. 10 new remnants were created that day. It was decided we would all finish our shift together and get a night's rest before entering a gateway 1 mile from the suburbs. A temp team was to cover the 4 of us clocking out at the same time. Are we expecting resistance? Ian asked. It was unusual to hear him speak. He was a shy young man who kept quiet most days. Most definitely, Mark said nonchalantly. Empty a few clips into them and they go running. Ian seemed happy with this answer, but something wasn't sitting right for me. What's so great about this metal ore? I shifted as Mark's gaze bore into my skull. We need something we can use to fight back against the bigger threats here. At present we can't even tickle the generals, let alone whoever is commanding them. Whoa, hold on there, you mean to tell me there's worse than those guys out there? Evan looked as if he was ready to bolt. I've seen the videos of the destruction left in the wake of a general, it's hard to imagine something more terrifying. From what we can gather, all our locations we have access to at present are on the outskirts. The waste sites being furthest away. We believe if we can get through the town we should be able to cross into the next segment. Think of it as a circle. We're currently in the first ring and we expect if we head deeper there's 2 or 3 more. And the deeper we go? I left the question lingering, already presuming what the company's true motives were. The better the resources.